Okay, so the BD100 has now published its third list, both online and in print. Here you are, in print, which is really cool. And I'm so happy to be in the presence of greatness today with the 2020 Business Developer of the Year, Bianca McLeish from Publicis, and also the BD100 Rising Star from last year, Alana Herington from Ketchum, London. Hello, both of you.
Hi.
Hi. So Bianca, give us a bit of, I don't know, what's life been like since November 2020 for you?
Yeah, well, firstly, what an introduction. But yeah, I'm still trying to get used to that title of Business Developer of the Year. But yeah, life after winning the title it's been awesome, actually. So firstly, the amount of emails that like flooded my inbox on the night of the award show was nuts. From like colleagues and friends and family. It was insane. It pretty much crashed my inbox, my WhatsApp. But yeah, just being recognized like in the industry and across the business was something that was and like still is like a really humbling moment for me. And I've got my trophies still on my desk just to remind me every day.
Nice.
Yeah. But I suppose one of the great things that kind of happened after winning the award was the amount of junior talent that messaged me on LinkedIn just to ask for like advice and tips and tricks and like mentorship. And I'm a really big fan of like mentoring and coaching. So it was a really nice opportunity to kind of speak to those people and really like give back and help coach some of the upcoming talent. And then I was also approached by the Goods magazines, the business development magazine, for a feature, which was awesome because I got to give my thoughts on like the BD landscape, but I also got to like feature my family in there as well, which if you see my LinkedIn posts, you know, family is a big thing for me, especially my grandma. And then, yeah, I then went on to be honored by Campaign in the Female Frontiers honoree list, which was also insane, under their Rising Star category. And obviously I referenced the BD100 award win in my application, so that probably helped. But yeah, no, it's been awesome. Lots of things happening. So yeah.
Pretty amazing. And business good too, presumably.
Say that again, sorry?
And business good as well, presumably.
Yes. Yeah, no, it has been good. It's really nice, like just sending emails and having like my signature at the bottom, and then everyone's like, "Oh, what's that?" I'm like, it says it on the tin, really. But
Nice.
Yeah, it's been good.
And Alana, you know, as Rising Star, you've got a brand new LinkedIn banner to go with it, which we all loved. What's life been like for you since November?
Yeah, I was the same. I was so overwhelmed. I was like shaking that night because I was just so happy with it, and it was so amazing. And when the award came through in the post, I just did a joke photo shoot like it was winning like a Grammys or something. But then it just seeing those photos and seeing how happy I was with the award, I was like, this is the content I want to put out there to show that I've got that award, and that's what my LinkedIn banner is now. I was the same. I was so overwhelmed by how lovely my team were that I work with. And like I said, I've never met them because I started during lockdown. So it was so nice to have the team like that back me and understand that it was an achievement. And then as part of my award win, I got the training with JFTI. So I've been working with Camilla and Mark at JFTI, and it's been amazing, like what they've been helping me with in terms of understanding new business as a whole, which is something you constantly need to learn, even though you work within it every day, and also just in my confidence. So I'm obviously seen as a rising star now, and they've helped me understand what's probably the next step and how to be more of that larger role within new business. So it's been really, really good. And yeah, I finished December and the whole year on an absolute high with one of our biggest new business wins ever, and to win that award and then to have that as well for Ketchum London, it was a good end of the year, to be fair.
Brilliant. And I mean, I suppose just continuing with you, what tips might you give to anyone who, well, hopefully we want more and more people to get involved in it, but what tips would you give them to perhaps stand out or even, you know, become a winner like you?
It's honesty for me. So I said within the form that came through just my honest opinion, and I said one of the questions was, why do you think you should be Business Developer of the Year? And I remember just writing like, I don't deserve this yet, because if I look at Bianca, like she's a legend, and like I love following her on LinkedIn and everything she does, and she's just so amazing. And I I knew I wasn't there yet. So I wrote that within my form. And then all my other questions were just completely honest as well, in terms of what I've done this year and how I started virtually, as I said, and how I joined a team virtually and how it was a challenge. But I lived up to that challenge and like took that on by myself in this environment. So I think you just have to make sure that you're not trying to be someone you're not in that form, and just speak your mind.
I totally agree. And to be honest, you know, business developer anyway, I think honesty for all of us is key to our role, and yeah, just carry that through to the entry. That's really great to hear. What about you?
Yeah, so like thinking about my own application, I'd say some of the key things to make sure that you've included in there is like stats and facts. So when I went back through my own, it wasn't just a matter of me like speaking to my achievements, but it was, I don't want to blow my own horn, but it was quite rigorous in terms of like the stats that were in there to kind of back up what I was saying. So things like including client quotes, for instance. It's not just me saying, I led a great pitch and I was awesome. Like it actually came from the client to the CEO. So making sure that like you've evidenced the stuff that you're talking about, I feel is quite important. But also just kind of echo what Alana was saying as well. Sometimes I feel like with applications, like you can get really caught up in like the work side of things, but actually you should try and balance it out with something personal, so that when the judges do read your application, they're kind of getting a sense for who you are and your personality. So for instance, like I talked about DJing outside of work and my podcast and my mentoring. So just having that balance of work, but also personal, I think is really important to just get your personality across and just show you're human. But yeah, I'd say those were some of my top tips.
Great. Yeah, totally get that. And it came across very strongly actually with obviously a great entry. So, I mean, a topic that we started to explore really is that sort of skill set that is required for BD excellence, and perhaps whether there's any lack of training across the agency sector. You know, how are things at Ketchum, Alana?
It's good. So yeah, I've just come off a call actually, talking about how we can utilize all the training we've had, but it's been a bit more difficult within the virtual environment. But when I was at my old agency, which was part of the Unlimited group, you had to be a bit proactive with what you wanted to learn, and you had to speak to sort of the network. So there's a few agencies in the Unlimited group like T&W, and I had to speak to them to understand how they've progressed and how some of those business developers progress themselves. And as part of my proactiveness, I learned how to be better within what we're doing. And I learned about the AAR apprenticeship scheme, and I like asked my agency if they would help me be a part of that, and they did. And that really helped me understand it and want to work more in it because it's so exciting. So I think there is a job to be done, definitely, with agencies helping business developers, but also just be proactive in yourself, and that can help you learn. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
Cool. And what about you, Bianca?
Yeah, I remember starting off in BD, and it was pretty much something that I just kind of fell into, because one of the MDs that I used to work with just noticed that I was quite competitive just by nature, and she was like, I think you should, you're well suited to BD. And like I went on a secondment into the role, but I had no idea like what I was walking into, because I came from like a film content background. But yeah, 8 years later, still here in BD. But just in terms of like training people up and like equipping them for success, at Publicis, we actually have like a junior talent program called Startup, which essentially gives like a lot of the junior talent around the agency an opportunity to really like understand what it's like working on a pitch and how to run one. So they get a brief from one of our clients, like Samsung, for instance, and they have to solve a business challenge within 24 hours. Now, obviously, a normal pitch is not 24 hours. It's between like 3 months to a year, but they get like full exposure to how to crack the brief, how to write the strategy, and they get like coaching and mentoring and stuff like that. I remember being a coach / mentor for the cohort that was there last year, just on how to develop them and train them up on what a pitch actually is. And as part of like your induction as well, the new business team have a presence in all of that. So I think from the get-go, everyone's encouraged to kind of support business development and get involved. And also, just to echo what Alana was saying, just being like curious and asking questions and just putting your hand up to get involved. But yeah, I also think there is probably a job to be done in terms of making BD feel like a career that people want to get into, because it's sort of often something you fall into. Like most people that I work with, they've fallen into the role as opposed to, hi, I want to be a business developer. Yeah, it's not really like a career path that you get told about, for instance. So yeah, there's probably a job to be done.
No, I mean, we both put our hands up in while you were talking in that. I mean,
yeah.
I reckon many of the people listening to this interview will probably say the same. But, you know, so many business developers fall into it because of the way we are, our character, someone picks us out. But I mean, you know, moving on from that, we've focused a bit on, you know, what it's like at Publicis and Ketchum. But, you know, what do we think that the industry could do more to make it perhaps a more viable career choice? Because I think we've got a way to go before people see business development as a viable career. What do you think that, you know, just continuing with you, Bianca, on that one, what's your opinion more generally across the sector?
Yeah, I mean, I think just trying to make sure that people understand that you can have like a work-life balance in business development, because I often feel like people run away from BD roles when they see it, because it's sort of like I won't have a life because I'm just constantly on pitches. And fair enough, it has its ebbs and flows. Sometimes you may have to cancel a few things here and there because of the nature of a pitch. But I think just like showcasing more business development stories. I think platforms like The Goods magazine, which is the only business development magazine that I've seen, and just trying to like build up a community of business developers to try and make it feel more like a thing, sort of like what the BD100 is doing as well. When I saw it pop up like a few years ago, I was like, oh my God, we have something for us. Because there's so many other like awards and like awarding bodies, but there isn't anything for business development, and sometimes we're often overlooked. So I think there's more that we can do like as a community. I don't have the answers right now, but just as an industry, just building up that BD community, I feel like we can probably do more things, more events, more training, and yeah, just showcasing more business development stories.
Totally with you. Alana?
Yeah, I can just agree completely. Like when like the BD100 came up and feeling a part of that, because you always feel so siloed.
Yeah.
If you're a business developer. Like in my last agency, I was the only one. I didn't have someone else. It's only me and Janita now, but before it was just me, and you feel so alone. And then when you're part of this community of business developers out there, it feels so nice, and you learn from them. And I think, yeah, it's all of our jobs to work together now that we've got the BD100 and other things going on. We can all work together to show how amazing it is when you have success within business development. And like people see it as like, yeah, this draining thing, and this thing, like Bianca said, where you're working on it all the time, and you may have to like just you have all these losses like most of the time. But actually, when you win, that is such an amazing win. And I think that is what keeps us going. And like you said, Bianca, the competitive nature of it, having like a constant project to try and win is just so good. And that's up to us to constantly promote that and speak about it and keep building towards that.
Totally. I mean, I just think as we go on, I think one of the things that surprised me about the growth of the BD100 and the community is actually, you know, yes, we sometimes are in direct competition, but we're totally together as well.
Yeah.
So we're together because of the kind of people that we are. And yeah, I've been really, really chuffed with the amount of sharing of skills and advice and support and mentoring and everything that's going on, and it can only get better. I mean, you know, kind of building on what we've just been talking about, we started talking last year about business development being everyone's business. And I think it's just become a real kind of slogan and tagline for us. I mean, do you agree with that phrase? I mean, does it, in terms of sort of, you talked about silos before, Alana, but do you think, because when it's everyone's business, there are no boundaries, right? That, you know, the delineation. What's it like at Ketchum in terms of everyone getting involved?
So yeah, it's something we're trying to do better now and I've started this basically initiative which everything will fit in terms of us trying to outreach to the whole agency, which is there's no business like new business, just because it came to my head with the song. And it's a catchy thing for people to understand. If that's going to land in their inbox and it's got that title to it, it's going to be something that will help them learn about new business. And we're doing a job right now and making sure that we're sharing all the decks. Oh God, sorry.
It's all right.
That we're sharing all the decks that we're working on, and there's training being put out there, and just making sure that people understand it, because like we said before, people don't understand it as much yet. So it's just finding the right way to show people that. And some of the decks we put together are so amazing and so much work has gone into them. So we want people to see them. So we're just making sure they're on a sharing platform so everyone can go and visit them when they want. And we're trying to build that up now.
That's nice. I mean, yeah, a great pitch presentation is like a work of art, right? I mean, we've all seen it in our career, and absolutely they should be shared for sure. What about you, Bianca? Is it an all-in thing at Publicis? I mean, you've got a lot of teams, a lot of territories, a lot of different and they all came together on that behemoth of a pitch that you detailed in your submission for the BD100. But I mean, is it like that all the time?
It is very much so. We've got quite a few different like training programs around the business, but the key one is the induction program. So pretty much like in your first week or so, all like new starters get inductions set up in their diaries with like various intros to different parts of the business. And the business development section, I think we go last because we take up quite a chunk of time to just hammer home how important it is. But everyone from day one gets like a full rundown of like the pitch process and how it works and why we pitch, why it's important, how to get involved, key contacts for who you need to speak to. If you've come from another agency and you have key contacts or any insight, please share with BD. Like, it's constantly hammered home. And even like from the top down, which I think is really important, new business is just something that's constantly talked about. Every single like senior leadership presentation, we kick off straight away with new business. Here's the agenda. It's tied into people's KPIs. Like, it's very much a whole agency thing. But I think it's quite nice, like when everyone kind of gets together and they're all galvanized like around a pitch. For instance, I remember when we pitched for Disney, we had like the whole agency in our UK office, probably about 200-300 people that we got together. And we all cheered the whole pitch team out the door to go to the client's office, which was insane. So like from the top down, like everyone was just screaming and clapping. We were playing like Disney anthems, like it was mental. But that's the kind of energy that you need like around the agency. Everyone's buzzing to like win. And when you do win and you bring it home, everyone's like, yay. But yeah, it's very much a thing at Publicis.
I mean, it is really hard though, right? I mean, you know, I think back, my first new business role was 1997, right? And it's
wow.
Yeah, I know. But it's so hard to get the whole agency to even understand what the hell it is. Like, it's really like, oh, so you do the cold calls. You're the one, oh, poor you. You're the one that sort of, you know, tries to bring in, it's just really hard to get everyone to believe that way. When you're trying to explain something, like we said, there is no defined career path. You know, people see creatives, they see account management, they see other areas. So it is quite tough, but to hear that is such a lovely story. You hear it out of the door, really, really great. That really is all in it together.
It is.
Nice stuff. Just give you a chance to plug your own agencies here a bit. What's been your favorite project, either pitched or delivered since November? Alana, what's been your favorite?
So I mentioned this within what's happened since November, and it was Adobe that we did win, and it was one of our biggest ever clients to win, and being a part of that process was amazing. And it was amazing to see how they really wanted to work with us, because we had this relationship with Shamima, who was heading up the account. They'd been with another agency, their incumbent, for I think 8 years, and it was a brand new fresh start that they wanted. We weren't sure if it was another procurement process in terms of maybe just wanting to go out there, see what's out there, but stay with their agency. And it was always worrying, but I formed this relationship with procurement, and we've been saying how important that is now, and it's becoming even more important, and how you need to understand what procurement are looking for. So I formed that relationship with the procurement lead, and it was just nice to chat to her so often. But from those chats, you were gaining this relationship, and they were wanting to then help you out in terms of what you were doing throughout the process. And that was really great to be a part of, and really great to work so in sync with the teams that I was working with as well. It was across our agency, within corporate as well as brand, and we were all working together and all really wanting it. So to be a part of that, and then to get that win, it was just before we left for Christmas to be told that. Nice. It was so fantastic. And then we had Shamima come in to do a talk as well with us, to the whole agency, because like I said, we want to push it out more in terms of what new business is. And she sat down with us virtually, obviously, and spoke us through what made her want to be with us, and what we demonstrated as an agency that she then chose us for. So that was really amazing, and I'm hoping to have another one again this year like that.
That's lovely to do. I mean, that make that a thing. Like, that's great. Let's we can do some things with that in the future across all agencies, I think, but also within the BD100 as well.
Yeah.
Really nice. Well, nice one. Brilliant. What about you, Bianca? What's been your fave?
I do have a few, but I think from November, I'd probably say it was a large FMCG client that we pitched for, and it was quite a weird one because I was working mainly with the US team. It was a global pitch, but I was mainly working with the US team, where I was leading on like logistics and the operational side of things, just due to its size, which is massive. But I was pretty much working on a different time zone. And I think that's what I was quite proud of, just the fact that I was able to run the pitch seamlessly, but still from the UK, but working on a US time zone. So I kind of, because I was working from home, it was fine. So I sort of just worked out my sleep schedule to wake up like with the US and vice versa, which was quite cool. But yeah, just like the sheer size and scale of the pitch. I don't get to touch pitches like that where I'm leading. Aside from Diageo, I don't get to touch those opportunities consistently. So that was quite a big deal for me. And yeah, just gaining lots of exposure to different people around the agency, and like picking up new skill sets and meeting new people. It was just quite nice to just work together as a team, even in the virtual world. Like, we still made it work. And then we ended up winning the US side of the business, which was great. So yeah, I think I'll pick that one.
Nice. Well, two nice stories, actually. Really lovely stories of different types, picking up on a lot of things that we talked about. So, okay, so finally, let's talk about a few tips, right? So, I mean, we're already heading into, I don't know, Q whatever it is of this year. Maybe we'll be halfway through before we know it. But, you know, apart from suggesting, of course, to everyone in the world of business development to enter the BD100 this year when we go for nominations, what might you give as a top tip to anyone looking to progress their career in BD, but perhaps also maybe a tactical tip for the year ahead in terms of how you go about business development? What would you say to that, Bianca?
So I'd say just be a sponge, be a sponge and absorb everything, but also try and apply it to like your day-to-day. And by that, I mean, like just keeping your ear to the ground, read different books, listen to different podcasts and content that's not necessarily specific to media and advertising, because there's so many different resources that you can pull from to help with pitches. And then you can kind of take that knowledge and learning that you've picked up and then apply it back to the client brief that you're working on. So I'd say that's my top tip: just keep absorbing and learning and try and reapply. And then in terms of tactical, I'd probably say just be flexible, because off the back of 2020 and 2021, everyone's had to just flex in terms of, yes, work-life balance, but also just flex in terms of their thinking and different ways on how to pitch, and like just finding different techniques. Everyone's been stretched. So I say just keep remaining flexible, and even as we transition back to like some form of normalcy, just keep being flexible, like in the way you work, in the way you think, and yeah, that would probably be my tactical tip.
Cool, nice. And Alana, what would you say?
Yes, I agree with you. Definitely try and get involved in the BD100, because I've met so many amazing people from being a part of it, and I'm hoping to meet even more. There was more this on 2020 than there was in 2019, and hopefully we can maybe all get together again for this year's. Fingers crossed, because it would be so nice to see everyone. And there's so many new people that I've spoken to over LinkedIn as well, Bianca, that could be a part of it. But mine is like, don't be afraid, and I'm trying to like teach myself to be like this as well. I've had like my reviews with my line manager, and it's basically saying like, your opinion does matter, and sometimes you think that it won't matter, and you have those calls where you're identifying the new business pitch that you're working on, and you'll have the CEO on there, and you'll have all the MDs on there, and you'll be so worried about your opinion being something that's wrong. But they value your opinion. You work within business development, and they want to hear what you've got to say, and you've read the brief probably more thoroughly than they have, because they're working on their client work and everything else. So you have that understanding, and like Bianca, you should like have learnings from other things that you've picked up from other things that are going on around, as well as different briefs. So I'm trying to teach myself is that the confidence is there within your role, and you can tell them what to do. So it's, don't be afraid if you need to say something that you feel like you need to say, or if you need to say that maybe we shouldn't go for this opportunity because there are loads of other ones that are going on that are good, like quality over the quality over the quantity of it. And just keep progressing.
Too right. I mean, I remember Sherilyn Shackle saying last November, silence the imposter syndrome, because we're in the role because we were chosen to be in it. No fear, absolutely no fear. I mean, if business developers and the agencies that we're with and behind and together with can come through the last year, and the brands that we're working with, then we can do anything.
I love that.
Superhumans.
We talked about scaling mountains a couple of years ago, when we had Frank Dick as a speaker, and my God, we were given a mountain. Listen, I just want to say thank you so much to both of you for making this conversation so easy for me. It's not my comfort zone, but I'm really, really grateful. It's been a lovely chat. I think we've so many brilliant tips for anyone in business development. I've got honesty here. I've got be flexible. I've got be curious, show no fear, be confident, be a massive sponge, your value, get your life balance sorted out, and just go for it. And I think together we're going to make the business development career progression channel just even better and bigger than it ever was. And thank you so much for getting so involved in the BD100 and for sharing your thoughts and insights and expertise today.